A lot of them have changed.
See how we're doing out there. I think we're picking up more feedback from that outside.
Hey, let me know if you see any of my EMS folks out there. No. He'll be sitting.
Call the meeting to order. Regular monthly meeting of the Grayson County Board of Supervisors. Tonight we'll be having a public hearing for the 6-year road plan. Anyone who does wish to speak, and I understand there's some people that are out in the hall, if they would make sure that they do sign up on the end with the sign-up sheet that's here in the lobby, so that we can make sure that everyone gets opportunity to speak. At this time, Mr. Smith, can I ask you to lead us in the invocation? And please.
Father, thank you for the day that's been given. Thank you for this beautiful county we live in. Thank you for this display of citizenry that has come out being involved in the local government. We pray, Lord, again, we'll be with our Board of Supervisors tonight. Guide your thoughts. And may this meeting go as you would have it to go. For it's in your name we pray.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. And the decorum is on the back, since the back of this the page of the agenda. If everyone please honor that. Very appreciative. We'll observe the decorum consistent with any legislative or court proceeding in the Commonwealth of Virginia. The board packet contains copies of the agenda and the consent agenda. All members have had an opportunity to review those. The board, the chairman would entertain a motion if someone's wish.
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion to approve the agenda, consent agenda, but I'd like to pull the budget work session out just because I wasn't there, so deal with that as a separate item. I don't feel like it'd be appropriate for me to vote on that as a consent agenda. The motion is to approve the agenda, consent agenda, with the exception of the budget work session.
Okay, do I have a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Roll call vote. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Pham?
Aye.
Mr. Allen? Aye. Mr. Bell? Aye. Also aye. Now we'll take up the matter of the budget work session meeting minutes. Chair would entertain a motion to accept those.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'd just like to say, when we endorse the minutes, it doesn't mean that we're endorsing everything that's stated in the minutes. I think there's been some implication because something's mentioned or referred to in the minutes that's an endorsement of something that might have been said or something that might have been proposed, unless it's actually voted on by the board. I don't think that holds. So I just wanted to mention that. That's why I'll be voting no.
Okay, let's take the vote. Mr.
Yeah, just
Fan?
one thing, I'm gonna abstain because I wasn't here, but I do think that minutes are called minutes, they're not called seconds, right? I mean, they're not a verbatim, or not supposed to be verbatim capture. They're supposed to be really a summation of what happened. But if there's issues associated with that, I think we have a way to correct that. But I think the minutes, and the people that do the minutes, try to get the summation of what happened, accurately. But it doesn't always happen. But, they're not a court recording. They're just to capture the consensus of what happened.
Okay. Having a motion before the board with a second. Roll call vote. Roll call vote. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Fan?
Abstain.
Mr. Ivan?
Yes.
Yes. Also yes. Okay. Which worked out pretty good. Brings us to our public hearing time, which was set for 6:05. Now we'll go ahead and make one final announcement again in case someone wants to come into the building late. Anyone wish to speak concerning the proposed 6-year plan for fiscal year 2022-23 through 2027-28 is asked to use the sign-up sheet. If we have that opportunity, we'll make sure you do. I'm going to apologize. I forgot to steal my wife's readers. Appears that, okay, the first speaker will be Jerry Wilson. Okay, yeah, that's right. Excuse me, Gary, I get a little bit ahead of myself. We need to have a motion to go into public hearing.
So,
Okay, we have a motion to go into public hearing. Do I have a second? Any discussion? Hearing none. So we'll call vote. Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Stan? Aye. Also aye. Okay. Now, Jerry, if you will, each speaker, if you will, state your name and your address. And 3 minutes, I believe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, board members. My name is Jerry Wilson. I live at 452 Hickory Lane, Gala. And I kind of understood after I got here that I shouldn't be here on this 6-year plan because it's my understanding they're not going to take any more this year. But I have to speak anyway because at one time, road 786 where I live was on the 6-year plan. And before they could get to it to do any work on it, the 6-year plan was discontinued for a while. And then after it started again, continued again, we kind of took it that it would still be on there, but evidently it's not, because I checked and it's not on that plan. And that's why I'm here tonight. We have some very serious problems down on 786. I have the names of all the people that live on the road and board the road. And they've all agreed that you can do anything to the land you need to get that road on the 6-year plan. It's a single lane. If the first half of it, it's only about 6/10 mile long, and 3/10 of the road was built and paved many years ago. And we would come back and try to get it on the 6-year plan, and then we got it on the 6-year plan, and then it didn't work out. But in between then, we have 3/10 of a mile that we're trying to get paved. They came and there's a side road to 786, Amber Lane, and it's only a little less than 3/10 of a mile, and they paved it. They improved it and paved it and didn't finish 786. And we're trying to get it on the plan to where we can get something done to it. It's a 1-lane road. You can't pass on it. All the traffic that we have on it now, especially FedEx and UPS and things like that, they want it to come down the road sometimes to deliver a package because they don't want to have to back out. In the wintertime, the roads, gravel road's always the last one to be cleared. There's two different times throughout the years that we've had to transport a human one man had a heart attack and one had a gallbladder attack. And I carried him out on the back of my tractor to get to the ambulance. Part of the road now there's about a third of it washed out right below my house. My grandson has a driveway that's this far above the road. Every time it rains, the gravel and mud flow right in his driveway. We have to clean it either with a tractor or shovel. Gary Stamper has a garage down below me. The road is about this much higher than his garage. It washes gravel and mud in his garage every time it rains. And every time it rains, we've got gullies from just 1 inch of rain last week in the road now. We have some serious problems with it, and we'd like to get something done. I have all these names, and if I could leave them with you. And there's one more new home that will be built. It's another grandson of mine. He's going to start building as soon as they can get the grading and everything done.
What's the common name of that road?
Hickory Lane.
Hickory Lane?
Uh-huh. I could give you, I don't have enough time to tell you what's wrong with it. About half an hour. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate you, Kim. Thank you.
It's, I believe that's Rebecca Roberts.
Let someone else speak. There's more people here than I realized. Go ahead, let someone else speak.
Barbara, 163 Flat.
Yeah.
Flat Pond Lane.
Flag Pond, I guess.
Flat Pond.
Okay.
There, sorry.
Yeah. We'll get you to state your name for us and the address. Sorry, couldn't read that.
Can you just speak up so we get the back?
I will try.
It's working? Yeah.
It's
working.
Yeah.
It's working, okay, good.
Yeah.
Give her mine.
I'm here today to support Miss Jeannie Hash. She lives on,
23 Sweetwater.
okay, it's, there's a secondary road going down alongside our house, which is Sweetwater. And I have passed that house for years before Jeannie and I became friends. And I always thought it was her driveway. And in fact, my driveway is probably 5 or 6 feet wider than this secondary road is. And I've been over there several times, and I am scared to death to park there because there is really no parking to drive the street. The road goes right along her house, and it's only 10 feet wide. And the noise and the disregard and respect for her living there, people come tearing down that road, and I just don't want to go over there and visit because I'm afraid my car is going to get wiped out. They don't slow down, they just come and pull right on out. If she's crossing the road, they get right up on her like she's supposed to move. And her drive used to be just a driveway. But now people just think it's okay to bring the FedEx and everything else that goes by there with huge trucks. My little RAV4 just barely has enough room to get up there without disturbing anything. So I do hope you take into consideration of closing the road so this woman can have some peace after all these years of having very inconsiderate neighbors and it just really being part of her front yard that everybody just goes through. So I appreciate you taking the time and listening, but I would guarantee not one of you here have a road going alongside your house just 10 feet away. So please keep that in mind when you're thinking it. And there is other means of egress and ingress to that road. This is not the only way that people can come in and go out. And in fact, the emergency squad will not use that road to go in because it is too dangerous. So again, thank you, and I appreciate you listening.
Thank you.
Mr. Smith, before we continue, we maybe want to separate these out because actually, I believe Ms. Heath is here to address that situation. Do we maybe hold anyone else that has remarks regarding that to do that? Would that be easier for you all?
Whatever pleases the board is fine with us. We can hear, hear the
We'll just
citizens.
continue.
Yeah, and then she can speak on it once they're finished speaking.
Okay, all right. Zelda Richardson.
I think she's out in the.
Zelda Richardson.
Speak to some cars in here.
How do you do?
Hello,
You just state your name and address.
I did,
Good to have you.
I heard it, thank you. I recognize some of you from the fall meeting. If you remember me, maybe, maybe not. I'm here today on the petition to pave, upgrade Hilton Creek Lane Road. This road is 1.8 approximate miles, and that's my measurements. 14 families live on it. We have a church on it, a couple of vacation homes. We have tree growers that own property up there. And I think to call this road a dirt road is an exaggeration. It's a mud hole most of the time. And didn't like that.
Time's up.
It's working the other side. Except in the winter when it's snow and ice, then it's slushy and it's wet and it's slick. And then when it freezes, it's like a peeled onion. I'm pretty sure that's where that phrase was first termed. On Hilton Creek Road. All the men on this road are constantly pulling people out of the ditches. They're sliding off the road all the time. It's my husband, Gail Flevens, and his boys didn't have tractors or pickup trucks. I don't know what we do on that road because it keeps them busy pulling people out. And then when we get to gravel, I'm not sure where the gravel comes from, but it's sharp and it's thick and big. It goes flat through the tires. My family, my household is just 3 people. And we have 2 or 3 flat tires a year on that road. And everybody I talked to, getting the petition signed, every other neighbor had flat tires just recently or right on that time. And that's unusual. When the roads are washboard, the Georgia vehicles to pieces. You can't go slow enough on there. You keep from shaking out. One resident alone has replaced 3 sets of leaf springs on his trucks. And these are passenger trucks, like pickup trucks. And he's replaced 1 set of leaf springs on his heavy duty trucks. It's living on the road. And he tells me that one set of leaf springs should last a vehicle for its lifetime. I've checked that out and verified it. I know that's a fact. All the residents that live on this road, all 14 households, are constantly replacing front ends and shocks on their vehicles. Almost every resident on this road has had a broke down vehicle with these problems at one time or other and has it right now. I want you guys to think about that for just a second. You drive to work every day, you have upkeep on your vehicles, repair, than you normally have. But if you had to replace this on your vehicles all the time, this is not normal. This is unusual and it's expensive repairs and smart upkeep. And not only that, but the men on this road constantly do repairs themselves on the road. Gail Blevins and his boys have actually potholes about so bad in the road that they have actually filled those potholes in and finished off that road themselves. We shouldn't have to take care of this road like this. We're taxpaying, we should have this road taken care of. Our men are always scraping the road in the winter time, in the snow, in the sleet, to be able to get in and out to go to work. Then we have the dust, which is my pet peeve. It's so dusty the rest of the time. It's just allergies are crazy. When I leave my house to go to town, I have to schedule myself a half an hour early to get to the car wash and get that done before I go to appointments, because I don't want to drive around in town with dirt all over my car. And when I started complaining about this, I found out that most of the other people are doing the same thing. You know how expensive that is to wash your vehicle every time you go to town? And then you finish, you do everything, you come back home, you drive up this road, you pull in the driveway, you get out, and your car is a mess and totally dirty. And you know what some people say, and I know what some of you probably thinking here, you choose to live there, you choose to live on this road. And we do, and we did. We chose to live there. Our parents, most of them have parents, grandparents, and even great-grandparents that were raised on this road and have lived there. And I've been thinking about this a lot, but the people back in those days and the people on this road did not complain. They just worked and they kept on just to get by. And when middle court got paid, they all were thinking, our time's next, they'll get to us next. And then it didn't happen. And then White Top Mountain got hard topped all the way across, and they thought, okay, they'll get to the smaller roads. And then they started working on Meadow Creek. I was a child then, I remember that very well. My dad had to carry me out in the wintertime to get to the hospital, but that road is so nice now. They fixed it, it's so nice. And I've lived on Hilton Creek Lane for 27 years. And I hear people say all the time, I don't know why you're going to start this, because they're not going to do anything about it. And I've heard them say it's the system. There's not enough people here. Well, I've checked all that out, and there's plenty enough people to live there. We have government employees on that road. We have a mail carrier that lives on that road. We have workers in the retail business. We have people in the textile industries. We have tree growers. We have farmers. We have healthcare people. These are all hard-working people paying their taxes. And they're sick and tired of this road. Times have changed and we've changed. And we're not the 5 people that are parents and grandparents, but this generation's louder and complains more. And here's the thing, the big thing is that Grayson County is not the 4th county it was like it used to be. And every one of us, when we were here in the fall, this meeting, and we left here, we were all angry about all the money that was being spent on the good trails through the mountains, the nature walks, tourist attraction, everything that's been doing, it's getting done with the foot trails in the mountains, walks. We don't need those till we get our roads fixed. If we can't get in and out on our roads, then we can't go to work And the taxpayers are where that money is coming from. And I just want to say this too. I really took offense to when you started telling us about the 6-year plan. Tom Revels wrote in a memo to DMV that we were pushy, and when we want something done, we want it done right now. I got the memo by accident, but I had to keep it. Just but when you start talking about a 6-year plan and we want something done yesterday, I feel like we've been waiting for 50 years to get this road paved. Hard top. This is like the last road in Grayson County that's still just a trail, I think. And times have changed, our vehicles have changed, our vehicles are nicer, they're more expensive than they used to be. But this road is just like it used to be, if not worse. The past 5 years have been worse, and it gets worse and worse every year. We want it fixed, we need it fixed, we need it paved. And we are asking you guys to do something about this, to fix it, to make this right. I appreciate you listening to me. I hope this does some good. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I have a petition with everyone's signature. I gave it to them the last time. Do you need another one? And I'm gonna have to follow this. I'm not gonna get it. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
I'm not being real strict on the 3 minute. Well, I know everybody's took the time out of their night to come down here and everything, so, but out of respect for the others that are here, if everybody can try to limit it to 3 minutes, that'd be good. But, we're here to listen to you, your concerns. And I think is this Kenny Graybill? Did I get that right? Okay, I'm sorry, I couldn't make that out. I told him we win. If you will state your name and your address.
My name is Ray Gamble. My address is 1589 Elm Creek Lane in Whitetown. Like Zelda, I'm here in reference to Elm Creek Lane. First, let me say thank you for giving us time to be here, listening to our concerns. We really appreciate it. And I want to say thank you for the increase in road maintenance that we have seen since we were here last. My husband and I live at the very end of Hilton Creek Lane, and we've been there since 1977. State maintenance of Hilton Creek Lane does not extend to our farm nor to 3 of our neighbors. There are, like Zelda said, there's 14 residential properties on Hilton Creek Lane. More than half of them are owned by people over the age of 65. But most of those people are still working. But we do have a couple of people that are over 65 that have serious health conditions that necessitate them having quick and easy access to and from Highway 58. So when the road conditions are bad, it's difficult for them to get out to the doctor and the hospital. Additionally, there's a church on Hilton Creek Lane, a vacation rental property, and Briar Ridge Lane is accessible only by Hilton Creek Lane. And that Briar Ridge Lane, there are currently over 500,000 freight refers of production on Briar Ridge. So when even a small portion of those are harvested and trucked out on Hilton Creek Lane, the road becomes just another disaster. It's in the fall, it's wet, we've got snow, we've got ice and rain, and it's really pretty bad. Additionally, at the very end of Hilton Creek Lane, there is a parking gate. There's a gate which gives access to the Hilton Creek Spur Trail on the Forest Service land, Hilton Creek Trail, the Deep Gap Trail, and a gate to the Lewis Fork Wilderness area. So we've got people coming in all the time to hike, hunt, bird watch, do all that kind of stuff. But the parking area is not on Forest Service land, it is on Hilton Creek Lane. And that's always potholed, full of them. But tourism is Grayson County's bread and butter, and it would be nicer if those people had a little better access on that, because it is highly attractive for them. And I realize that, you know, everybody's got budget constraints. UDOT is no exception, Grayson County is no exception, so I appreciate this. Ideally, paving would be great, but until then, any kind of road maintenance that we can get for the ditching, extra gravel, we really appreciate it. So, thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Probably didn't get it.
Okay, 1589 Hilton Creek. Looks like hash. Irene?
Is it Sweetwater Road?
It's another one for 1589
Oh,
Hilton
I'm
Creek
sorry,
Lane.
excuse me.
She didn't have. We'll recall that name a little later on. Debbie Hash, 76 River Hill Lane, anything?
She was out there.
Debbie Hash.
My name is Debbie Hash. I live at 76 Riverhead Lane, Independence, Virginia, which is right off of Pleasant Grove Road. First off, I want to thank the board and VDOT representatives for giving me the opportunity to speak here tonight. I've lived on Riverhill Lane for the past 35 years. And when we moved there, it was a narrow dirt road that wasn't traveled very much, and that's greatly changed. We're asking for 1 mile stretch to be widened and or paved or whatever you all can do. And on this stretch, there's over 115 private owned camping lots that are probably mowed 30 times a year, which brings a truck, a trailer, hauling a lawnmower weekly. When I came here tonight, I met a truck, trailer, lawnmower, car right behind it. When I backed up so they could get by, there was a truck hanging behind me. Then when I got by them, there was a Jeep coming in. So there's lots of traffic. There's also a campground at the end of this road. There's 7 full-time homes. There's 2 apartments and 2 summer homes. And this doesn't count the homes that are built in the Twin Rivers subdivision. I don't know if there's anybody here from there. I don't have their data. With the number of permanent residents that are rising and with COVID, many people are ordering a lot of things. UPS and FedEx are on this road almost daily. And these are large trucks. It's almost impossible to pass them in most places. There's a lot of places on the road. It's only 12 foot wide or less. And people don't realize it's narrow, and then they end up going over the bank. And it's really a wonder if somebody hasn't been seriously hurt. On the 1 mile that we would like to have worked on, there's only 3 cutouts that are large enough for 2 trucks with lawnmowers on them to pass. And at last year's road meeting, we talked with VDOT, and they said that maybe it might be possible to make some more cutouts during the year, but there were no additional cutouts made. There's no way to count the vehicles with kayaks, tubers, people pulling their campers in and out, but it's a tremendous amount. And if you want to go somewhere on Memorial Day, July 4th, or Labor Day, you might as well forget it unless you want to leave before daylight, because you are not getting in or out. And as I've said in previous years, the traffic count has far exceeded what our little road can handle. The last recorded traffic count was 8 years ago, and it was 200 cars a day. They did a road count right before COVID, but it's not been added to the VDOT website. I checked it again today. I do want to thank the Baywood VDOT headquarters for what they do for our little road. They're great to put down gravel. They're great at grading the road. Our road is just too small for the amount of traffic we have on a daily basis. And I also want to mention that our road wouldn't even be on the 6-year plan if it wasn't for Roger Billings. He spent hours and hours of time. I know he talked to supervisors. He's been here at numerous board of supervisor meetings. He's talked to Mr. Sheckley. He's talked to VDOT. It was a dream of his that this road would be fixed where it would be safe for his family, his neighbors, and anyone that wants to travel it. And I hope that you all can see that it gets done and maybe even done before the date of 2024. I just want to thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Next, I have Phyllis Petty.
Hello, my name is Phyllis Petty, and I live at 391 Rock Chimney Road, Daylights. And I'm here concerning the same road that Debbie was talking about, which is Pleasant Road, number 715, I think. And I want to say that I'm also concerned with the safety. We own a lot, and we have had a rollover on our lot. And we also have a person, a few lots above us that had a rollover, and they were transported for slap, and I never did hear the results, but I think it was in serious condition. I also know of at least 2 other rollovers on this segment of the road, and I would like to ask you to continue to consider us, because I think safety is a very important problem on this road, and so thank you very much for your attention in hearing this, and we ask that you continue to support us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Danny Petty.
My name is Danny Petty. I live at 391 Rock Chimney Road, just across the River Bridge. I'd like to thank the representatives, Grayson County Government, Board of Supervisors for letting us be here tonight for this public hearing. It shows that y'all are concerned. Been here several times before. I don't want to reiterate a lot of things that have already been spoken about. So, would like to say that once you're in there and you're trying to come out, if you're one of those pulling a lawnmower, or a truck, or whatever, you have no place to go. You're at the mercy of somebody backing up, because if you got a trailer and all up, it's 200 feet back, and that bank area, try to back it, just about impossible. So you about have to, coming in, you got a choice. You can get on the upper side and let, get all full off, let people go on. But coming out, you got to make sure they're there, or you're going to go back. Especially if it's wet weather, those banks are soft, and you can drop off and you can roll over. And the traffic count, I know it's increased tremendously. Maybe not in the winter time, but I know in the spring of the year, when it's flooding, you need to get in there and do something. You can't get in there to do it. You got to do it ahead of time. And then also, if you're, it's been mentioned the holiday seasons, summertime, even fall of the year, deer season, whatever. And there is a lot of traffic on that road. I understand we were up 2024 year for work done on it. I think I heard we're still there, and I appreciate it. And I will get that done at that time. Certainly appreciate it. Thank you for your work.
Thank you. Tom Simpson.
Good evening, I'm Tom Simpson. I live at 3542 Rivers Drive, Independence, which is that road off Pleasant Grove Road. We have, and I was just counting, I think we've now got 10 houses, about 5 or 6 full-time or near full-time residents, and we have 33 owners there. I'm the president of the Property Owners Association, so I do represent the property, but I'm really speaking for us. I was actually that truck that this hash had kind of backed up to, and it happens. I'm always glad when the person in front of me sees a vehicle coming. You're in the right lane, when you see a vehicle coming, you don't know if they understand that road at all. So you get over to the left if you've got to pull off. And she pulled off to the left, I pulled off to the left, and the lawnmower trailer went by on the right, and there was a car right behind it. As we emerged just before the hard surface, there came that Jeep. This isn't the busy season. That starts next at the end of this month, really, it's easy. My wife rolled off of that road 10 years ago. And she was fortunate, she wasn't injured. She went to the hospital. Needless to say, it's a very traumatic experience for her. I was fishing for the Creek, not happy that she could get hold of me, but that happens. People expect 2 or 3 roll-offs this summer. In addition, there's quite a few culverts that have been washed out, and I haven't, well, I guess 2 years ago you didn't have one, I wasn't here last year. I talked with VDOT, and it looked like they might do some work on some of the bad places related to maintenance of culverts just below where Two Rivers Drive joins it. There's also a piping failure, basically where water goes to the bottom of a ditch. There is no culvert, but it has found its way under the road. And you can watch after a heavy rain, the water coming out the other side, and it's eating back into the road. These are, first of all, it's a dangerous road. We've all heard that. We need to hear it a lot more. We should leave. There's maintenance issues that aren't being taken care of that really need to be addressed before 2024. They should have been addressed before 2022. So we appreciate your interest. I know y'all are. I know VDOT recognizes that it's an issue. But concern and interest are good. We like that. We want that. This is the point we really need action on this road. And so 2024 will take. 2023 be much better. Thank you.
Ann Rose.
I'm going to talk about Baywood. Is this the right forum?
Ann Rose?
Yes.
Okay, and just give us your address.
This is the highway department.
About Baywood. I'm not here about Baywood. Is this the right forum? Is it at the end of the meeting?
It's at the end.
When is the end of the
Yeah, be at the end of the meeting.
End of the meeting, okay.
So you want to do public comment? Is that what you want to do?
Yes, just public comment.
Yeah, there should be a sign-up sheet out there.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. Okay, Ann Rose. That was her, okay. All right. Looks like Stanley.
No.
Malowski.
All right.
Did we get Stanley right?
That's correct.
All right.
I'd like to thank you.
We're on first name
My
basis.
name's Stanley Malowski. I actually live in Wood County, but I own property on Lost Lake Road. My daughter and my grandchildren live on Lost Lake Road. And they continually go backwards and forwards to work. And I'm going to make it short and sweet because everything's been brought up that's on these roads. The slick roads, the embankments, all this maintenance issues. Right now, they have a culvert pipe that you drive across and it's rotted out, rusty. Got gravel in it, you go across it like this. Water, finds its way around the road instead of going through the culvert. Makes it slick, snow removal. And in Wythe County, we actually address these issues. We take and chip spread the roads, put the culvert pipes in and everything where these folks can get in and out. I mean, and Lost Lake needs to be on this 6-year plan. I mean, this is 2022, correct? So, these folks have legitimate quarrels about issues of the roads or paying taxes.
I don't have this problem in the county. But these folks has got major issues. I own property right beside a lot of these people on Lost Lake, and it's terrible. I mean, no excuse for it. In 2022, guys, think about it. Thank you.
And, Holly? Lost Lake. Say that.
Hello. Bring in my food with me.
That's good.
Hello, you just met my father. He said the gist of what I'm gonna say, I'm Anna Polly, sorry, I live at 1081 Lost Lake Road. I'm actually here for all the people on our road. Most of them are immediate family, some just close friends. But our road is awful. I moved there 13 years ago. It's the same way it was then. There's, like you heard, culverts out. I called VDOT months ago. They come, filled it full of gravel, walked away. I call them again, oh, we fixed that problem, it's been addressed. It's not been addressed. Unfortunately, there are potholes that are the length of my car. You just drive over, you go in the pothole, keep driving, then come out of the pothole. My father-in-law, Robert Paul, is actually sitting in the back. He's taking a tractor. Our own finances filled in those potholes on our own because, you can't break your car. You gotta have a car. But it's just, that road has supposedly been on the 6-year plan since I came into this family. The road, you won't come in on it, it's just a little narrow road. Many years ago when it was on the 6-year plan, it was denied because there was a landowner who refused to let the road be widened. He has since passed, there are new landowners there. They are willing to let that road be widened. So I would like to be considered for it to be widened, just more maintenance, less neglect. We have families with small children, we have business owners, we have people who work in the high school at high levels. We have healthcare workers, everyone you could think of in all walks of life that live on that road. In the winter, we're the last to be plowed. I've sent texts to my boss. I've had to call in when there's feet of snow. We've never gotten to, the plows never came to us. We're waiting, they're like, why aren't you at work? I have a foot of snow and I can't get out because our road hasn't been paved. They send them a picture and they still don't believe you that, oh, you're sending some off road somewhere else. You've looked this up online. No, that's not road. Unfortunately, that's how our life goes. We would love to be on your 6-year plan. If you consider us, that'd be great. If the UPS hates us, we don't want the rest of the world to hate us too. They stop at the first house. They know the list of the people on our route. They throw all the packages out on the porch. We'll get a call or a message, hey, you got a package at my house. Less of a 1/10 of a mile from your house, but the UPS is afraid to drive down our road. They're like, our truck hates you. I've called them, they said, our trucks aren't capable of getting through your road. With the potholes, the culverts, the width of it, if something like that is scared of your road, it's pretty bad. When Lost Lake, the dam burst and it washed part of the end of the road out, there was construction, they fixed that part, completely ignored on up the road. Could have been fixed in the same setting, but it wasn't. We would just like to be noticed. Be nice to be acknowledged that we are, just because we're on the far end of the county, closer to Smith County than we are here. But we are residents of Grayson County and we love Grayson County. We would like to be taken care of by Grayson County if we could be able to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ellen Brewer. Ellen Brewer.
She's on her way. Thank you, sir.
My name is Ellen Peru. I live on Rocky Holland Road, or 46 Courthouse Lane, Troutdale, Virginia. It's adjacent to Rocky Holland Road, 739. And I've been coming for 45 years. Trying to get some pavement. I got 3/4 of mine done, but in the 45 years, I've got petitions with a whole lot of names. I had a son that was terribly allergic to dust. I've been to the doctor, the whole 9 yards. I've been listening. I know it all, firsthand. The potholes, the narrow road, and I have a business on my road. It's a horse camp. Can you imagine how big they can make horse trailers with living quarters in them? Meet those. I've been hit head on. In years past, my mail carrier has been hit head on. I've watched the school buses go around the curve where the snow was deeper, further, and the where it's a tandem wheel, the outside wheel would be in midair. And it's a bank that I wouldn't even go over because I didn't think I'd be living when I got to the bottom. And my child's on that bus. Right now, the buses are not running on that road, but they will be again in 2 years or so. I have a granddaughter that will be going to school. There's FedEx, UPS, oil trucks, and all of those horse trailers that can be as big as tractor trailer rigs. And my son has been towing them in and everything. And you don't want to meet them on that road because you can't pass. And most of it. And my question is, what do I have to do after 45 years at trying this? I was so enthusiastic 45 years ago that I could, my father-in-law said, good luck, I hope you can do this, but I don't think you can. I gave it. I couldn't get anything. Well, my enthusiasm is gone, but my taxes keep going up. And we don't have a road that's, you can't meet people on it and pass them on a whole lot of it. And I know the potholes, the dust, all of the drawbacks. I live with it too. I'll make it short and sweet, or as short as I can. I'm going through all of that too. But what do you have to do to get some road paved? I've been on a 6-year plan twice and been thrown off.
Yeah, of course, I think that it was revamped in 2010, which predated, I think, everybody that's in here. I don't know why, from what I understand, it was, it was unrealistic, the list they had, so that's why it was revamped, but I can't, really speak to.
For years, I've come to every meeting with missing one. And during those years, and when you didn't miss any, you know who was coming. I've seen people get the road paved that didn't even come to the meetings. How'd they do it? What if they got, I want to know. I got to know the magic pill, Does it take that? What is it? And if it is, what is it? My taxes keep going up, but my road, it's not going any better. I see a trailer go over and it had 2 horses on it, they were ready. I wouldn't want to have to pay for them because I know it flattened my wallet. That trailer rolled over the bank and how it was so steep, how it was still on the bank and not going to the bottom, which was, you got to see it to believe it. Those horses were standing on the side of that trailer. They wasn't on the floor, they were on the side of it. And it would slide. And my husband tried to help tie it off, whatever he could. They used vehicles and you name it, till they could get those horses out there. And the overall, she knew what they cost. She was going crazy. And she tried to pass a person. That's what got her over the leg. So that's what I'm dealing with. And it's not fun to get head on because I hit my mail carrier. He said he didn't like it either. But if y'all know what the magic potion is, I'm here to find out.
We all have roads in our district too. Yeah. A lot of people have some serious concerns about.
Yeah, if it goes another 45 years, I'm not gonna be living, worry about it. I'd like to get it done before another 45 years has passed.
We got some time.
Shouldn't worry about me.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Well, any help would be really appreciated. Thank you. And I'll be coming back.
That's all that was on the list. We do have some that has been mailed in or emailed. Make sure they have it listed. Ms. Roberts.
Ms. Hash. Mr. Hash is my name on the list. Signed under the public comments for 6-year plan.
6-year plan.
There was more people. There's whoever ain't talking here.
Let's check our other list and see. They may have gone wrong.
that other list,
It said 6-year plan. I said public comments was 6-year plan. Can I go ahead?
Okay.
Is Mr. Fowler here, by the way?
Yes.
Mr. Fowler.
All right.
Got a packet of information. I won't go over all of it, but I really appreciate if you read it. If you could read, especially those of you who have not seen me before. I do.
I don't know who went to buy these. These are nice.
You can take them home with you. This is a lot of information, but it's good information. And I pulled a page out of the VDOT playbook. It's about shared values with our public service. If I may read, it says they make decisions based on facts and sound judgment. And they accept accountability for their actions. So I would like for the board and the Commonwealth to make a decision to reinstate the 250 feet of Sweetwater Road that runs through my personal property. I'm not here like the other speakers. I'm not asking for money. I just want that piece of now shortcut road returned back to private use because it is just getting ridiculous. And you can read in here, the traffic has increased. Mr. Well came out and he took a look at it and he said it was not safe enough to send a rescue vehicle up that road. And I'm begging you to please reinstate this back. I know the original roadbed that's on the other piece of property is not usable. But when you have, I mean, the fact is, tape measures don't lie. This traffic is going 10 feet from my house. These trucks are making my house shake. They're that close. And like these other speakers, there's not enough room for these cars to pass. When Mr. Wall came over, there was a truck coming down and he had to back all the way back down to Sweetwater. This is a common occurrence daily. Daily. I'm not asking the board to make a decision on money, emotions, status, anything. I want the board to make a decision on closing this, reinstating it based on safety. And I'm not asking for any money to do so. And if there's a magic potion, I would like some also, like the other speaker. But this is just getting out of hand. And I don't think when there's only, fact one is I'm the only permanent resident on Sweetwater Road. The other 6 houses are second homes. They're not permanent residents. They're from out of state. And I don't think that road funds, as tight as they are right now, I don't think they should be used to be put into a road for second and vacation homes. And I think the people who are permanent residents here, who are registered here with their vehicles, they vote here, everything they do is here because they're permanent residents. I think that they should be, I should just be safe, and I shouldn't have to keep coming back to the board over and over and over. Some of you people have been to my house, you've seen it firsthand. And I'm just asking you, the 250 feet that belongs to my property, that was a private drive. But I will say this, and Mr. Fowler is here. I talked to a gentleman from Bristol, and he told me that he tried to find a file in history on Sweetwater Road. So I'm beginning to question if there was even the proper paperwork that was done to grandfather that in. Is that a thing? I don't know. Getting information is like pulling teeth. But I do know that Mr. Flannery told me it took him 2 weeks, but he did look. And he got back to me and he said there is no history or file for Sweetwater Road. So does it mean it really exists within the VDOT system if there's no file? Who could I ask that question to?
Mr. Fowler and Ms. Heath are here to address issues here in a minute. So
Okay.
once everybody gets their opportunity to speak.
Well, I apologize for my motion, but if you've been to my house and you've seen this, all the near crashes and Christmas tree vans and chemicals and stuff, you would understand. You would feel the same way as I do. If you had to live with this day in and day out traffic 10 feet from your house. Some days there's close to 60 cars in it. So, but anyway, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I know this is third time, but it's third time for sure. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, one question on clarification.
Yes.
You're talking about from Big Ridge Road where Sweetwater intersects Big Ridge, 250 feet.
Yes, it goes up.
Between your wood shack and your house, that section of the road.
Yeah, I own 250 feet on both sides of the road.
Right, but that's the section you're talking about.
Yes, it's dangerous. Like these other people spoke, you can't pass on that road, on that section. You can't. You have to back down.
Right.
I mean,
You're
between
only
between my yard and my shed, it's only 12 feet wide.
Right. I just wanted to make sure I understood. It's just that section you're
Just that section. I'm not asking for money, or I'll put up gates, I'll do whatever I have to do. I'll come wash windows at the VDOT. I don't care. Please. Thank you.
Thanks.
I have no other names on this list. Let me go over the public comment list to make sure.
I'm on that. Ellen Brewer's right there.
Okay.
She spoke right before, I think.
Got it. Yeah, I know.
So Ellen Brewer,
For the road.
you're here for the road?
Yes.
And what's the name?
Joyce Murray.
Okay. If you want to go ahead and come forward, please, ma'am.
If I can be a little bit positive this time. I don't think you supervisors were there whenever my husband and I came in 1990. And so it's been a long time that I've been coming back and forth to try to get River Bend Road paved. And he passed away and I've been trying to come. And like some of the others said, this was taken off of the plan when there was no plan for a while. Then it was put back on. Half of the road did get paved. We got it paved 6 years ago. And at that time, we thought the rest of the road was on the same plan, and it was not. So now it has been, at that point, we put back on the 6-year road plan, and to my knowledge, it is approved. Believe it or not, it'll happen. We think, I know for sure when I see them out there doing the work. But according to what I understand, that it will be started this summer, and that would be the 6-year road plan. So all of this took this many years, but it does work. And I haven't been here this time in 6 years. But before that, those first 6 years, I was here, and my husband too, every time they had 6-year road plan meeting. So you do have to come. And you have to be sure it's on your plan, and then it can happen. And I thank you, and I thank the state, the road people, everybody that's done all this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Chad, Chad, please.
I'm gonna make it short and sweet to them. Everybody's here, and from what I stood outside, heard people say, well, man, they ain't nothing to say. We've been on a 45-year plan, the way I see it. Last week, or the week before last week, I pulled a horse trailer up our road, and this is gonna be a regular thing this summer with the horse campsite. It's a business. I've got a bobcat, a dozer, farm tractor. I've had to put my equipment on the road to fix the culvert going underneath our driveway because it washed away. That's my fuel, my equipment, my time, and I'm paying taxes. My mom's paying taxes. Mom been hit head on. Everybody in here, everybody has got something wrong with the roads, and we're paying taxes to get this straightened out. Don't know where the money's going. Not even asking. I don't care. But this day and time, there shouldn't be this many people here needing or wanting their roads fixed. We don't even get cell service where I'm at. I'm 5 minutes from the Smith County line. I have to travel out of county to get work. My family's growing up. I got a granddaughter coming up, which is who my mom's talking about. It's going to be riding a school bus here for them all. People running up and down the road. You meet a horse trailer, you're backing up 50 to 100 yards to get out of the way. I'm putting my equipment on the road to pull horse trailers and trucks up. We can do better than this, guys. We can do better than this. It's uncalled for. I don't understand. I don't. And it's in your fellas' hands. Right there. We all work here. We all vote here. We all help each other here. We're a small knit community up here. In our end of the county, that man right there, JB, God bless him. Love that man to death. He's gone now. But if he's here, he'd tell you too. What's going on? What we got to do? I'm a fat man. I love steak. Y'all want a meal? What do we got to do here, guys? I mean, I'm more willing to work with anybody. I'll give what land I've got to make sure that a road comes through. I'll buy you a meal. I've about got your kids through school if I can afford it, but I live in a county where you got to travel out of county to get work. I don't understand it. I don't. I would love for somebody to tell me, because I'm like, that woman right there.
Yeah.
I'll do it. I'll do it. Please.
Your mom's.
Help us out here. I mean, I know there's stuff that needs to be done, but we're all paying taxes. I pay my taxes, and I tell you, I couldn't pay my taxes, and the guy that was in front of me paid double what I was paying.
And I thought it was unreal. Thousands, guys, thousands. And that's just for one person. I'm paying thousands. Come on. And there's more people here with more land than me. I don't understand it. I'll do anything I can to help you. I'll give you land. I got equipment. Do it. Let's make a plan and pull it together. Anything, gentlemen, please help us. Because there's people standing out here that's walking out that ain't got a bit of faith in what's going on right here, right now. And with every time we come to these meetings, we're losing a little more faith. And if we could pull people together that lives on our road, I would have brought them. After seeing what this lady brought up and bringing files, if I got to do that, I'll do it. But the people on our roads don't give up because it ain't happening. They just watch like the people walking out right here. It says they wasted $4.25 a gallon gas to get here for nothing. It aggravates me. It really does. And I'm a God-fearing man. And I try not to cuss, and I'm holding back. And I don't understand. But it shouldn't be. It's 2022. We don't even have cell service on our end of town. We don't even have a dollar store. All we got is a gas station. Travel 45 minutes to get groceries. I got a mom and dad that's in bad health. Something happened to them. They're dead before I can get them anymore. And we're fighting the road to get there. And God forbid there's a horse trailer blocking the road, but I got to go get my equipment and pull it out before I can even get my parents out to the hospital. Don't make no sense. Help us, please. I beg you. I pray for you. God's watching us all. He's especially watching you all. Please. I don't know what else to say to these people ain't said. Everybody's got a road that needs something done. And we do too. And the tax money is there to do it. Take care of your people and they'll take care of you. That's plain and simple. But don't take care of your people and you won't get voted out or whatever. Or I mean, you won't have people start bucking on you, not wanting to buy you a steak. I'll buy you 2 steaks. Whatever you want. Make a steak fry, beer with it. What do you want, guys? Help us out, please. I'm going to get groceries and drive almost 45 minutes home. Find a dirt road getting there. Hope it ain't blocked with a horse trailer. So, hey, my milk is full. You know, thank you, gentlemen. Y'all ponder on what we've all been saying here and begging for. Thank you. Y'all have a good day. Appreciate it.
I'm Robert Hollis. See you last week.
Okay, yes.
I appreciate the opportunity. Appreciate it, ladies and gentlemen. Come and speak to you. I'm speaking again about the Lost Lake Road. I'm Robert Pauley. I live at 876 Lost Lake Road. I've been there since 1977. And the road did get some improvement about some 20 years ago, something like that. And like somebody's already said before, it was a really narrow road. And the reason that they said they could not pave it was because it was too narrow and it had to be a certain width. So it was on at one time on a 6-year plan, not now, as far as I know. And we did get it widened out, except somebody's already commented, when you first come in the road, the gentleman that owned the property would not allow them to widen the road back. So you've got about probably 100 yards that's still narrow, probably. Then it widens out. It's a pretty decent road, except that their culverts and all that stuff is bad. As I said, they're rotted out. And big potholes that I mentioned, I was on a tractor and filled with dirt and gravel and whatever I can find to fill, because they're big enough to car in some of them. And what we would like to do, we would like to get on the 6-year plan somehow to have that road part of. And then there's probably 10 residences there. Most of them are permanent residents, some part-time. We'll have some out-of-staters that have some vacation property there. Most of y'all are probably familiar with the road. That's where the Lost Lake, that big lake was that broke and and it's gone there. But we would really like to have that road somehow get back on the 6-year plan. Is there a procedure we go through to get it on the plan, or what do we do?
This is it.
Okay. Does that mean it could get in this 6-year plan, or is that the next 6-year plan for this double bid?
That's how you want to speak to that, and how the process works, or?
Yeah, basically, this is, you speak up for your road, and the allocations have to be there, and then once, the board determines that a road would be added to the 6-year
Okay,
plan,
okay.
but the allocations have to be there, and I'll speak to it in just a few minutes.
I appreciate it.
Unfortunately, this year, there's no additional allocations to the 6-year plan, but I'll talk about that in a few minutes.
But probably the time spent on it before would aid in what would be done now, since it's already wide enough. Most of it from that, except for the first 100 yards or so, would have to be probably widened, then hard top. But in the meantime, we would like to have the potholes and the culverts replaced. They're actually rusted into, and the road's falling in. So we would like to have those replaced in the meantime. But if we could get on that 6-year plan, I mean, that would be great. We'd all surely appreciate it. Appreciate y'all taking the time to listen to us. And appreciate what y'all do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm not sure if everybody else is, had a Dalton, looks like Lonnie, maybe?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
My name's Lonnie Dalton. I live in Sparta, North Carolina. I don't let that fool you. It's just about a mile and a half across the line. So, I'm here at Help Gibson Support Group, Route 715, just Pleasant Road. I know I'm not going to bore you with details because Mr. and Ms. Petty and Ms. Hayes and the other fellows done a real good job with it. I just like to say that I'm one of those people that has a camper, and it's a dangerous situation. School bus runs part of that road. Still be able to run the whole road, and I've had this for my kids on the bus. I just like to say, like to invite you Memorial Day weekend about 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening to take a ride up the road. And, I'd hate to have this in my life like you said, and I know you did a good job. Appreciate you if you can help us out. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Well, that leaves only person I had on the list was Ann Rose, and that'd be during the public comment period. Don't appear to have anyone else. Was there anyone else here to speak on Rose? Okay. Hearing that, now, I do have some letters that have been sent in, and so since I have readers, they will be in good shape. First one is a letter received from Miss Sue Collins, and this is regarding Chestnut Lane in Freeze, Virginia. So I'm writing to ask if you would please consider paving this road on 84 Chestnut Lane in Stevens Creek. I've been living here since the 60s, and now I'm 76. There are about 10 houses on this road. They are building a large house over in the pines behind me. The school bus goes down this road, and I have all those allergies and all this dust don't help. Thanks for anything you can do. Let's see, page 2. Just a cover sheet. This is from Laura Snyder. I've been a resident of Grayson County since 2012 as a retired RN with extensive experience in rehabilitation of spinal cord and brain injured patients. I'm well aware of the importance of safety precautions to preserve health, especially for senior citizens and those with disabilities. I have been friends with Jeannie Hash for many years. While she has visited my home many times, I've only been to her home a few times. Why? Because there isn't a safe place for me to park. My age, 71, and joint problems necessitate my walking slowly. Available parking in front of her woodshed means crossing what is historically a driveway, which is now being used as a road by speeding cars, trucks, and trailers. Poor visibility and speeding vehicles are a safety hazard for me to even consider walking from the parking area to her home. When I learned the history of Jeannie's home, number one, her original driveway does not meet current legal requirements to be utilized as a road. Two, there are alternate routes of access to properties on Sweetwater. Three, there are safety and security issues to the property driveway being used as a road. It is reasonable for the safety and privacy of Jeannie, her family, and friends to request reinstatement of her section of the driveway as personal property driveway, sanctioned by the Board of Supervisors for the installation of a gate at the legal border of her property on the drive at 23 Sweetwater at her expense. Thank you for your consideration. Laura D. Snyder. Okay. Looks like the same letter, yes. Okay. Okay, this is from Amy Boucher, 402 Pine Mountain Road, Independence, Virginia. To the members of the Grayson County Board of Supervisors, I support Jeannie Hash's request to have 250 feet of Sweetwater Road that runs through her property vacated as a public road and returned to private ownership. The first time I turned down Sweetwater decades ago, I could not believe that it was a road, as it appeared to run right through someone's yard, and it was so narrow you were practically touching the buildings on either side. This road is an accident of history and should be corrected for both Ms. Hash's sake and for the safety and welfare of the traveling public. Please ask VDOT to vacate this portion of road and return it to private hands. Thank you, Amy Boucher. That appears to be it. I believe before we had Mr. Fowler and Ms. Heath speak, the board's going to take a, okay, we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing. And so I have a motion to close public hearing. I have a second. Any discussion?
Second.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye. Also aye. We're going to take a brief break until about 7:30. Give everybody a chance to stretch your legs and take a little break. And then Mr. Fowler with VDOT will be speaking, and Ms. Pam Heath with VDOT is also here. Someone has questions for her.
Yes, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
If I may, I'm Andy Fowler with VDOT, and this is Pam Heath. VDOT, we work in the same office and with Field Residency, which oversees Grayson, Blaine, and Witt counties. And I'm here to speak on the secondary 6-year plan public hearing comments. And Ms. Heath came to speak to the Sweetwater issue.
Okay.
Ms. Hash. So in whichever order you'd like, when we come back.
Okay.
Come up and speak.
Thank you, sir. Recess for about 5 minutes.
I'll sit down. I'm
I don't have time to make
I'm just thinking, because you were with her now, you were with her and you guys were saying, you may not recall. But Harvey lives close to me. And but it is. I have a hard time I'm not saying it's very hard to do because there's a gentleman right behind me. So they shot my house up from Sweet Rose. So they were shooting, they shot at my house, and that was the side of the house that they were only 10 feet away. It's frozen place. Like screens, wood screens, like everything. It was terrible. So now, now at the yard, the harvest, I had to because these boys because it sounded like automatic. Okay, I didn't make sure I'm ready. Yes. Yes.
Step-by-step process.
Yeah, it's ultimately, it's also transportation we're interested in tonight, we're approved. So we get all the paperwork together and send everything to them, and work that process. Turn it over to them. I mean, it's letters to Paul, December they don't, they meet once a month. I'll go together, there.
So basically, it starts here, what you're getting. And then she does a great job. She's a walking regulation book. She does a regulation. She says she almost does everything. And so, basically, the first thing
she works for the county, and actually, she and I are together this year.
You'd be the computer man.
I've never asked her that, but she talks about her kids.
yeah, so she is what's her label.
Oh.
And then basically, next step is channels different.
Let me message you something. What I would have to do, I still at this. Sand. That's one less. No, you don't do it.
Yeah, there's Google in there. I got Google in there. Oh, is this for me?
No, this I'll switch with you. I got it. Yeah, but it's more my hips than my back than anything else. Sit for a while, stand for a while, walk around. How which be your side? I already had yeah, especially yeah. I can scoot out. It's a lot easier to get it out of my Cherokee than it is my Malibu. Yeah. And then I got to put seats in it, so when I take it into the shop, the guys always. Yeah, that's a lot. My wife drives around, she plays basketball. She'll turn the seat heater on in August even. Yeah. Now that's what she says too. She says, it feels like a massage. I'm like, your side on there, honey.
I have to see. Yeah, I have to show you.
I'm bored, they're yelling at you.
about a year's worth and then about 2 or 3 months.
When it doesn't get it. So we shouldn't have to pay all of it. The recovery doesn't stop.
They did years ago, but not before.
I remember it. Yeah, I'm not looking for it. That's been conversation. I got all of it. 4 hours of homework. That's good.
Okay.
Go ahead and call our meeting back to order. Mr. Fowler.
Yeah, Mr. Hatch, I'm gonna let him go ahead and address the Sweetwater Road issue, and then I'll get into the 6-year plan.
Thank you.
Hello,
Hey,
I wanted to talk about the abandonment process for a secondary road. We have, VDOT has different processes. And in this case, for Sweetwater, it would be an abandonment of a secondary route without replacement road. And that just means we have another process if we were actually building a new road and had to abandon the road because of the new road. That's not the case here, so we're gonna abandon, the request would be to abandon this road without a replacement road. And, the process is, the county would send a letter or email even in writing to VDOT to request that the, section of Sweetwater be abandoned. And then because there's no new road to take this, the place of this section, we have to have public involvement. And, the public involvement piece is a notice of intent to abandon would have to be advertised in the newspaper, and it can be advertised in the newspaper, a sign can be placed in the courthouse door, or, signs can be placed along the road to let the public know that it's up to the county who has choices of how they want to advertise it, but it has to be advertised for a period of 30 days. And, if no one objects after, seeing it on the road or reading it in the newspaper, if there's no objections to the abandonment, then the county would draft or, execute a resolution to VDOT. And then it's just steps of getting some information together and sending it to the Commonwealth Transportation Board for review. If there are objections, then the county would have to hold a public hearing. And those objections, if those people show up at the public hearing, they would have to be documented and sent to the Commonwealth Transportation Board along with the request. And then the CTB would review the request and the objections, and it would be up to them to approve or deny the abandonment. But that's basically it. There's some more steps and things, but basically that's the process. And I brought some, if you all would like to have them.
What was the acronym, the board that would review that?
The Commonwealth Transportation Board
Okay.
in Richmond.
Kim, does that have the step by step that you just described?
It's a flow chart of
Okay.
how it would have to be developed, how the process is developed.
Ms. Steve, so in this case, Sweetwater connects Big Ridge to Falls Ridge Falls Road, is that the, anyway, it's a connector, is that right?
It's Serendipity, I think it's next.
But yeah, but there's another road on the other.
It's
side, right?
Serenity.
That's right. That's it. So we're talking about just a small section on the northern end of, the southern end of Sweetwater. So is that, when we close this, abandon this road, or whatever the right language is over here in Independence last year? Yeah. Is it similar process to that?
It is, it's the same process, actually.
Okay.
And I worked with Jada Black to get all that, documentation, paperwork done to the CTV, and it was approved.
Right. So, I mean, in this case, because it's a through road, is it likely, or is it possible, more likely? I mean, if it was a lane and somebody was on the other end, that was, obviously that ain't gonna work. But in this case, since there is an alternative route out the other way, what's your experience on?
Well, if there are objections because people say they use that and it's a quicker way to get to Route 58 or a way to get to town or whatever, then the CTV, the Commonwealth Transportation Board, will look at that to see if those are valid arguments.
Right.
And they have been denied in the past if there's been objections because people want to use the road, it's a public road, they want it to remain public.
Right.
So, but I just can't, I don't know how they would rule on this.
Right, I understand. It's more just a clarification.
And because it is just a section, it's not the whole road, it's just a section of road, and they do have access around, I think it's like 3 mile additional, or, I didn't check it or anything, but, so that may sway them.
Right.
I mean, it could go either way.
Right. Okay, that's true.
Is there any way to address Ms. Ash's question about whether or not it's truly a road, a deeded road?
Well, I was talking to Ray, I found a map from 1940 that has that road. I mean, actually, it was 2 different route numbers at that time in 1940. It's 764, which is where it is today, and also 662. And then in 1950, we kind of, I guess we did some made some changes, and it all became, we renumbered it to all 764 down to Big Ridge Road. So we have a county map from 1940 that shows that connection.
Thank you.
What road was you referencing that we closed last year?
I'm sorry, I don't have the route number, but it's Curry
It's
Street.
a little section across from Osborne Hotel out here. It's technically in town, but.
It was a circular road off of 58, and we abandoned a section of it.
Okay, and you said we would need to advertise. You listed some different ways. Is there just one way that's required or more than one way suggested?
The county has a choice, and let me see if I can, and if you can choose either, I'm just gonna read a section here. You can choose either to post a notice of intent to abandon at least 3 days before the first day of a regular term of the circuit court at the front door of the courthouse. Or you can post a notice of intent to abandon in at least 3 places on and along the highway to be abandoned for at least 30 days. And also there's a piece that would be advertised as well in the newspaper. So you have some choices there of how to abandon your intent, how to advertise your intent to abandon the road.
Okay. So if this board agrees to pass that resolution and it goes on to the CTV and they don't agree with our decision, is there an appeal to that process?
There is, and I'll have to do some digging here in this, but I think you can appeal it, and actually I think it has to be appealed to the circuit court. So that, and I can actually give you, or Jada, the link. It's this is the document about that kind of outlines all the different ways to abandon or add a road system. So it's fairly lengthy, but I can pull that section out and send it to you.
Okay, well, I guess I just wanted to know if CTV doesn't agree with what this board decides and they're not the end all, we still have another avenue if we're trying to support this action.
And similarly, if they agree to abandon, property owners on the road can also appeal it to the circuit court to keep it open.
Both ways.
Both ways.
I have, Mr. Chair.
Have we provided sufficient notice to VDOT on this particular issue?
Well, right now, we kind of talked about it, but I haven't got anything formal. So if I could just get a letter on county letterhead that asks us to abandon that section of roadway. I can work with Jada then to get it advertised.
I was gonna say, Ms. Black is aware of this process and has done it before, like on Cherry Street, so we could work to go through the process too.
Separate. Separate road. I think you and I were emailing about greenhouse. Landowners, I've talked to one specifically, hashes is a common theme, I guess.
That's a thing tonight.
But, they were concerned about greenhouse and they say that the property owners all down there agree. Now, I've only talked to them, but same sort of thing to get it into the consideration, for possible abandonment would be for the county to send you a letter asking you to look at it.
Yes.
Is that fair?
Yes, and also just as a side note, if someone doesn't live on the road, they can also object if they use the road. If they live on an adjoining route or somewhere nearby and they use that road to get to work or whatever, they can object to the CTV. They can object to the closing or to the abandonment.
Right. Okay.
So it's any motorist that might use that road has the option to object to it.
Right. But that's the process. I mean, we just gotta, in order to get it resolved, it's best to get it in the process and then run it through and then see what comes out. Is that
Yes.
fair?
And another thing, if you want to advertise a notice or a willingness to hold a public hearing, and like I said, no one objects, if you think there's gonna be objections, instead of, spending, I guess, funds to advertise a notice of willingness, you can just automatically advertise the public hearing and go to the public hearing if you feel there will be objections.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, and I'm new to this process. If some of the roads that we have say no longer stay maintained, would that be the status of this road or is that a different status?
Well, it would be a different status. This would be, if we abandoned it, VDOT would no longer maintain it. And because this is a prescriptive route, Sweetwater, it would revert back to the property owners. Because our easement that we have, prescriptive easement, is 15 feet from the center line of the road in both directions. So if we abandon it, that 15 feet goes back to whoever owns or whoever has the deed to the property. Because we just have an easement to maintain it. If it were true right-of-way that we owned, then it would be a different process, but both Greenhouse and Sweetwater are prescriptive easements.
Do we have to put it in the form of a motion to get the letter done, or is that just something we ask staff to follow up?
As long as I get a letter, I think.
My recommendation is put in motion to direct staff to do that.
We'll make that. If you
For both roads. Okay.
But motion for the abandonment of both roads, second. Mr. Anderson, second. Any discussion?
Just for clarity, it's Sweetwater Road and Greenhouse Road for the motions.
Hearing no further discussion, roll call vote. Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Mr. Faint? Aye. Mr. Ivy? Aye. Mr. Belton? Aye. Also aye.
I'll work with you anyway.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Appreciate it.
Let's get it.
Evening. Andy Fowler, President and Administrator with the residency. And I'll talk for a few minutes about the 6-year plan. Broke it already. There we go. Okay, so I will say that during the course of the public hearing, we're taking notes on all of the maintenance issues that were brought up. So we'll go ahead and get with our local area headquarters that oversee those routes and go ahead and look at the culvert pipe issues that we heard about and pothole issues. So we'll look into doing that first and foremost. So we'll get that going immediately. As for the 6-year plan, as I mentioned in the last meeting we had to discuss in the workshop, to discuss the allocations for this year, due to inflation, rising costs of petroleum, pavement, or materials that we use to build these roads have all increased in price. And that affects VDOT, that affects us as citizens. So it's affected our pricing. So basically what we had to do this year, I'll just reiterate what we mentioned in the last meeting, was we had to use this year's allocations to the 6-year plan to update the cost of the projects that are existing on the plan. And currently we have 17 projects on the plan totaling $4.5 million. These 17 projects vary from, they'll be started this year to starting in 2027. And so what we're doing by using this year's allocations to cover the inflation costs and the increased pricing on all of our materials is basically we're utilizing these allocations to update the pricing so that we can keep this a true 6-year plan. Because I've heard that mentioned a few times tonight, and we hear the same type things in Wythe County as well. I'm over in Wythe County, Wayne County, and Grayson, and we all face the same issues. And the boards face the same issues. We all have dirt roads. We have many more miles of dirt roads than we have allocations of funding to pave. So it's just we chew away at it one bite at a time until we get to that last road that's still gravel. But in the meantime, we just have to keep chipping away at it. So basically, this year's allocations increase the pricing. What's happening? We typically put the roads on our 6-year plan, and it typically costs about $220,000 per mile to do a roll rusting build, which is grading, ditching, new culvert pipes, and surface treatment. And due to current increase in pricing, we've had to bump that number up to $275,000 per mile. And across 17 roads, basically those 17 roads. Total mileage. Yeah, just say that. Yeah, those 17 roads vary from 0.2 miles to 1.8 miles. We have 1.7s, 1.3s, and basically those total. The current total was $3,260,000 in the 6-year plan, and with the updated costs, we're at $4,510,000. And so we had allocations this year of just over $1 million, and all of that had to go to updating the price on the current projects that are currently on the plan. With that said, hopefully what goes up will come down, and at some point we're gonna level off, and hopefully this inflation will level off and pricing will start to go back down. And I anticipate that will happen. I hope it does, because this inflation is affecting us all. So with that said, as pricing comes back down in future years, let's say two years from now, pricing's back down and we're able to build a road for $228 a mile again, then if we come in under on the road, that funding stays in the 6-year plan, so it doesn't get lost. So basically, that funding will stay. If we come in 40,000 under on a road, that 40,000 stays within this Grayson County 6-year plan and can be used to add other roads to the plan. And then, of course, we get a yearly allocation. So next year's allocations will go to adding roads. We've had some question tonight as to how do I get my road on the 6-year plan and what are the steps. Obviously, this is the first step. present your case to the board. And then, we've taken notes of all the roads that were mentioned tonight. So what we do, is we go out, we look at these roads, we survey them, we check to see if they meet the rural rustic requirement. And rural rustic is the method in which we build roads, and basically the rural rustic concept is we have to build within the existing lay of the road. We can't straighten out curves, we can't do major excavation on steep slopes and things of that nature. And we can't acquire right of way. So we have to build within the curvature and the lay of the road as it exists. And one of the things with the rural rustic concept is the existing width of the road. And a lot of times we run into issues like where a road is only like 12 feet wide or 13 feet wide. We typically need 16 feet. If we have 14 feet existing, we've got a little room to widen it just a little bit without major construction or purchasing right away, then we will deem that a rural rustic build and it can be added to the plan. But some of these routes that we go out and review, and I can't speak to some of the roads that were mentioned tonight, we'll have to look at them and see if they would qualify. But if they're very mountainous routes where there's like a steep slope on the lower side that may go to a stream, and usually when you have that, you've got a steep cut slope on the upper side where there's like a ridge or a mountain there, so you don't have room to widen the road without a major construction project. And that takes us outside the concept of rural rustic. And so the secondary 6-year plan is basically, we have to be able to build within the rural rustic concept to meet the qualifications to utilize the allocations that are specified strictly for the 6-year plan. And Mr. Shipley had asked during break if I can provide documentation that kind of gives a step-by-step, and I will provide that to you. We have step-by-step on as to how you address the board, state your case, and then we go through the whole process. So I will provide that to you guys. So, said all that to say this year we did spend all of our allocations to upgrade the pricing on the projects that are currently on the plan, and this allows us to keep this a 6-year plan. I've heard mention that roads had been on the plan in the past and then they got dropped. And I think what had happened, and I can't speak to this, I'm like Mr. Hash, I managed the tunnels for Big Walker and East River tunnels for 12 years of my career with VDOT. So I've been on this maintenance side for the last 10 years. And I know, like you had mentioned, about 2010 or so, they revamped the plan. Because what had been happening in the past was whenever a road was mentioned, they just added it to the plan. The board, they just added it. So what was happening was we were having, right now we have 17 roads, and all roads are, the allocations are there to build those roads. But when you add roads and you don't have the allocations, and you don't have a 6-year plan anymore, it becomes the 20-year plan or what have you, where there's never funding to finally get to those roads that were added where there were no allocations to support it. So we're for the last at least 10 years, I know under Jeff Russell, that he was very adamant about making sure that we kept a consistent 6-year plan and don't get outside of that, because then you have roads that sit on the plan for 7, 8, 9, 10 years or longer. So I appreciate the board's work and the county's work and how you work with us to make sure that we do maintain a true 6-year plan. So that if somebody knows that their road is added to the plan, it will be done within 6 years. Any questions?
Couple questions. So, Pleasant Grove Road, we've talked about it multiple years. Roger Billings, the champion for what has happened with getting it where it is on the plan anyway. But, there's much development that's occurred down there for recreational as well as residential. When does it move from being our responsibility to prioritize it for the secondary road versus become a construction project? Because the traffic count and the issues there related to that particular road demand it. When does when does it become something beyond what we're able to do? Does that make sense?
Yeah, we do have a smart scale program, Pam, and road can be taken in. Well, these roads are already in the system. So what's the process for if the board wants to present a route to the smart scale?
If you want to do a smart scale project, you have to, there's a lot of documentation, planning and things, but it becomes a construction job. And it's not something that we do in the maintenance and with,
Right.
from Whittle. It becomes a full-blown construction job.
Right.
And they look at benefit to cost ratio and those kind of things. And I'm not saying it wouldn't get funded, but it would go up against like safety projects and things. Every year we have a smart scale
Right.
portal opening where you can
Yeah.
submit projects. And each year it goes against projects in Northern Virginia where we might have fatalities and things like that. So historically funding has gone to those kind of projects, but you could apply, I mean, and try to get a project funded to widen and improve that road.
Yeah, because we've had, I think, a couple of smart scales approved, maybe 3 now in the county. And this issue, I mean, Pleasant Grove Road's not gonna get any better, even if you can go in there and widen a few spots, which I think is basically what we're gonna try to do in 2024. But the reality of the development that's going on there and the use, I think is we're moving into a different category. And so that may be the way to address that. Second question is, so for like Rocky Hollow Road and Pleasant Grove also, but it sounded like there's several of these roads that might fall into the safety funding. Are there alternative funding sources other than, because several people just wanted the road widened, they didn't necessarily want tar and chip. Is there a way to look at some of these roads and say, yeah, this, like Rocky Hollow, this road definitely needs to be, because there's a campground up there now and people are using it all the time.
Right, and there again, that would fall under the smart scale.
That's another smart scale.
Yeah.
I thought there was some safety money, but that's all smart scale.
Well, there is county safety money that we typically utilize it for safety issues such as like a need for guardrail or maybe a slope. We've got a section of 658 in the Troutdale area that we're working on now where we're building the shoulder out where the edge of pavement just drops straight off.
Right.
So we're building that shoulder out and making it wider to accommodate guardrail. So we use it for things like that. But as far as like I'm going to say a road rebuild or a road upgrade, typically can't.
That's smart scale.
For that.
Does this border or is it access to any federal lands?
You know, it's probably pretty close where that campground is. It's probably right up against the national forest.
Because we have federal lands access program LAP that funds road improvements to get to federal lands. And and I'd spoken to Jada about that this past fall. And it's coming around again. There'll be a new round of funding open, so we can look at that. And it's just, I mean, we can apply for it. We may not get it, but it's something.
If we don't ask, we definitely aren't going to get it. Is that something that we need to put into another motion for you all, or is that how does that work? I know the smart scale Jada kind of that's her world.
Well, I've already been working with Jada to for some other trails and things for that flat funding, so we can just add that to the list.
Okay.
And we're talking about Pleasant Grove.
This one is Rocky Hollow.
Rocky Hollow, okay.
And, Lost Lake may be one too. Yeah.
Okay, if any of them have access to national or to federal lands, then they're eligible for that flat funding.
Lost Lake is.
It may not get funded, but we can.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So I'm not sure what your procedure would be, but basically if you can make a list of those routes that you want to run through Jada and then Jada and Mark and Pam there again and apply for this funding. Smart scale and federal funds.
Question first. Yes, sir. So the folks that come here tonight with new roads and we're not adding, did they need to go through another process next year to get added to the 6-year plan, or would they maybe be theoretically on the 7-year plan?
Yeah, typically what we do is we hear what you're saying were back there writing like crazy. When they were mentioning a route, I was looking on the route number conversion for each name they gave. And so Pam has detailed notes back there that we were taking. So we have a list of what was mentioned tonight. And obviously your minutes will show a list of what was mentioned tonight. So what I typically recommend is that we don't forget. So like next year when we have allocations, that we would have that list readily available. So basically I'll keep like tonight's public hearing. I'll have a list on my hard drive on my computer where when we start the 6-year planning process again next year, then or the same process, then we have a list of roads that were mentioned last year. Because sometimes what happens is like I heard some of the folks mention that I came to the board for 40 years or what have you. And sometimes what happens is, and this is no fault of your guys at all, if the board changes, and we had a 6-year plan public hearing last year, and they mentioned 4 or 5 roads, and we heard that, it can easily be forgotten when we have new board members. Because then we have another agenda, and then we have another group mentioning more roads, or different roads, and then it may tend to be forgotten. So I'll have a list. If the board keeps a list, then next year when we're going through the 6-year planning process, I'll have allocations, whatever allocations we're given next year for this program, and then we can determine how many roads or how many miles of roads we can add to the plan next year. But I would just keep a file with the routes that were mentioned.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we ask VDOT to work with our planning department to explore smart scale funding or federal funding based on the location of the project for Rocky Hall Road and Lost Lake Road.
Okay, got a motion, can I have a second? Second. Any discussion before a vote?
Just to make sure did I capture what we were trying to do?
Yes, sir, Mr.
Given how much acreage is in federal lands in Grayson County, it would not make sense to identify all of those roads to give access to the federal lands. And instead of just being specific to those two, I know it may be a longer process. I'm not opposed to putting those two, but you know, you hear there's so much of this county that's in federal and state parks. Maybe an opportunity we can improve access our citizens just because of the locality to the federal land. There's probably more than those 2 roads out there.
Yeah, I'm wondering if from a process and a focus standpoint that we move forward with the first, those 2 roads that we identified tonight, but then we can do a separate one to ask the planning department to work with VDOT to identify the rest of those roads, and we might be able to handle that. Are you okay with that? Sure.
Well, I was just thinking that if we did all the roads like you mentioned, it might muddy the waters and put things in the back.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, that's right.
That's what I was thinking. I didn't know just to
You approve? Okay. So I recommend we do that first motion, and then we can make the second one follow up. That's okay.
Motion to the board with second. No further discussion. Roll call vote, Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Fain? Aye. Mr. Ivy?
Aye.
Mr. Bill? Aye. Also aye.
And Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we ask the planning department to work with VDOT to identify other potential roads that border state or federal properties that might qualify for funding for improvement.
Okay, we have a motion for the board. Do your second.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion further on this?
I think that's a good idea.
Okay. Hearing no further, roll call vote. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Fain?
Aye.
Mr. Ivy?
Aye.
Mr. Belton? Also aye.
You got some work to do, man.
We still don't get a steak dinner until you get it.
Okay, so the other thing I'll need is just for you guys to, just approve the 6-year plan as presented, and then we'll move to the resolution stage.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the 6-year plan that's presented.
Second. Second. Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Frame?
Aye.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Mr. Belt? I also aye.
Unless you have any other maintenance issues you want to speak now, or hold off until get your emails for next week. One thing from
Quick question, Pleasant Grove Road, the safety alarm, can that be added as a safety deal instead of a guardrail?
Yeah, we can look into using the county safety funds for that. And what we're gonna do is, like I said, we took notes, and basically we're gonna get with our area headquarters for all the routes that were mentioned that were mentioned as maintenance needs, and we'll see what those maintenance needs are. And it may be very well that we can use some county safety funding for some of those fixes.
But so I'm clear though, but from the administration standpoint, that smart scale piece for Pleasant Grove, did we give you what you needed on to try to go after that process? Because it seems like that problem is not gonna go away even in 2024 if we do guardrails and all that. We're not gonna solve the problem.
Yep.
And, okay. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate it.
Still there, let me bring.
Next on our agenda will be reports, presentations, and requests. I guess to be a